People love repeating that line from Agatha Christie: the best time to plan a book is while doing the dishes. And yes, it is a beautiful line. It sounds true immediately, it feels almost comforting. You imagine ideas arriving softly while your hands are busy and your mind is elsewhere. But this is where most writers stop. They hear that line and turn it into a passive philosophy. They think the lesson is do ordinary things, wait for inspiration, trust the process. That is not what Christie was doing. The dishes were not the method, the dishes were only the trigger. Hi, I am Andrea, the founder of Ibisco, the novel writing software that loaded my more than 200,000 writers around the world. And in this video, you'll see what Christie was really doing after those moments of inspiration, and why understanding that can make writing feel much clearer, much lighter, and much less frustrating. If your ideas often come at the wrong time, disappear too fast, or leave you starting from zero every time you sit down, this will help you see what is actually missing, a way to catch creativity and build on it. The blank page puts the mind under pressure. The moment you sit down and tell yourself, now I need a good idea, the conscious mind tightens. It becomes self-aware. It starts trying to perform, and performance is a very bad environment for discovery. But when attention is only partly occupied, something else happens. You are washing dishes, you are walking, you are in the bath, you are driving, and the mind keeps working without that same pressure. It combines things, it notices gaps, it offers strange connections, a motive, a scene, a contradiction, a face, a sentence. It happened because you gave it room. This is the part people understand. The part they miss is that Christie did not treat those moments as magic. She had notebook after notebook after notebook, 73 of them. They were working documents, plot fragments, character, sketches, false starts, possible endings, names crossed out and new names added. That is a completely different picture. It means the advice is not wait until inspiration visits you. It is give your mind a problem to work on in the background. And when it brings something back, do not trust memory. Capture it, store it somewhere reliable, build on it, return to it, and shape it. That is why this matters so much for modern writers, because ideas still arrive the same way. In the shower, on a walk, at night where you were supposed to be sleeping, in the middle of something else. But now there is another problem. Most writers do not have a system. They have fragments scattered across phones, notes apps, voice memos, loose papers, random documents, messages they send to themselves, and half-remembered thoughts that feels brilliant for 6 minutes. Then they sit down to write and none of it is really there. So every writing session becomes emotionally expensive because they keep asking the brain to regenerate what was never properly held. And after a while, this creates a painful illusion. You start thinking the problem is that you are inconsistent. You start thinking maybe other writers have some stronger form of inspiration, some cleaner access to story, some natural clarity that you do not have. But very often the real problem is simpler than that. You are trying to build a novel with memory alone. That is too much weight for memory to carry. A novel is not only made of ideas, it is made of relationships between ideas. Who knows what and when? What the reader suspects and when? Why this scene belongs before that one? What tension has been planted? What has been hidden? What must pay off later? That kind of structure becomes fragile very quickly if it lives only in your head. And Christie knew this. In her memoir, she speaks very openly about the difficult middle parts. Not the exciting beginning where possibility is everywhere, not the ending where everything closes. The middle, the long stretch where energy drops and confidence starts to shake. That is where many novels are lost, because the shape of the book is no longer visible enough to support the next decision. Christie used her notebooks to cross that territory. So when people say she planned books while doing the dishes, what they should really say is this: she activated the background mind, then she transferred its work into a structure. That is the whole system, and it is a two-part system. First, you let the story keep moving when you are away from the desk. You do not demand finished scenes or brilliance, you just keep the question alive. Then, when something appears, you store it in a form that can be used later. Not just a good idea, but a usable idea. idea. This is also why Christie often worked backwards. She did not always begin from chapter 1 and hope the novel would reveal itself in order. Very often she wanted the answer first. Who did it? Why? What the hidden pattern was. Then she could place the evidence, shape the misdirection, and build the beginning around that certainty. So what looks effortless on the page usually depends on decisions made much earlier. Christie was not leaving the novel to chance. She was giving herself a structure strong enough to carry the writing forward, especially when the easy momentum disappeared. If this way of looking at it is resonating with you, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps more writers find these conversations. Now, this is exactly the problem I wanted Bibisco to solve, because if Christie were working today, I do not think the essential logic of her process would be different. I think the tools would be different. That is why inside Bibisco you can work on character profiles in a way that helps you think about each character as part of the story, not just as a list of details. You are clarifying what makes each character matter to the story, what this person knows, what this person believes, and what this person still cannot see. And in a mystery or in any story shaped by timing and revelation, that makes a real difference. Then there is chapter planning. This is where the Christie method becomes very practical. You do not need to begin with chapter 1 if chapter 1 is not the clearest part yet. You can begin with the ending, decide what must be true by the final pages, and build backwards from there. That changes the feeling of writing, because now the session is not invent a novel. The session becomes execute the next part of a structure I can already see. And then there are the notes. This may sound small, but it is not small. The note attached to a chapter, the idea captured before it vanishes, the small connection written down at the right moment, that is often what saves continuity. That is your digital notebook. That is where background thinking becomes concrete enough to return to. And this is especially important in the middle of a novel, when doubt increases and memory becomes unreliable. Without a system, the middle feels like fog. With a system, the middle becomes work. Still difficult sometimes, but visible and traversable. So Agatha Christie was not waiting for inspiration. She knew how to make use of it, which meant giving those passing thoughts a place to be captured, developed, and turned into a story. The dishes were only that allowed the ideas to surface. What mattered was what happened next. Those thoughts were written down, given structure, and carried forward until they became part of the book. That is the real lesson. Ideas may arrive when the mind is elsewhere, but a story grows only when those ideas are given a place to continue. Bibisco was built around this idea. So if you want a writing space designed around this way of thinking, you can try Bibisco using the link in the description. Happy writing and see you in the next video.